Whether you're a Christian who occasionally has questions, or you're skeptical but curious, you've probably asked the question, is Christianity true? To answer that, we need to look at the two foundational claims of Christianity. First, that the Bible is the divinely inspired Word of God. Second, that Jesus lived, died, and rose again to offer salvation to the world. These are bold claims, but is there any evidence to support them? And to answer that, let's rewind about 1,000 years before Jesus walked the earth. King David wrote a psalm that reveals something extraordinary. It paints a vivid picture of suffering, rejection, and ultimately, redemption. What's astonishing is that this psalm actually isn't about David's life. It's a prophecy. As you can see in Psalm 22, verse 14 to 16, it reads, I'm poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It is melted within me. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet. You've probably already started to see the connections, but this story is exactly that of Jesus' crucifixion. In verse 14, we see how he died, which was heart failure. We see the water that was poured out of him when the Roman soldier struck a spear in him. And we see his bones out of joint because he was hanging on a cross. In verse 15, we see how he was unimaginably thirsty. And most importantly of all, verse 16, they pierced my hands and my feet. Psalm 22 predicted Jesus' death on the cross and predicted crucifixion hundreds of years before crucifixion even existed. And there's absolutely nothing else that involves piercing of hands and feet in the Bible or in history up to this point. Not only this, but Psalm 22 also starts off with Jesus' final words, my God, why have you forsaken me? And a little bit after that, it also shows that he was faithful to God since birth, sinless. And even that the Father rescued him after he was on the dust of death in verse 19. And what was the result of all these events? They made it so all the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. Not just Israel, which was the common belief at the time, but all of the world. This, my friends, is the complete gospel demonstration 1,000 years before Jesus was even born. What does this mean? Well, with all these striking similarities, one can conclude that Psalm 22 is indeed a divine prophecy. God actually inspired David to write this. If God was in it so much that he predicted the biggest moment in human history, we can be assured that he was in it for every part of the text that his people put together. And since the Bible predicted Jesus, it predicted the virgin birth, the sinless life, the crucifixion, and salvation, well, then we can be certain about what the New Testament says about Jesus as well. Because of this very chapter, we know that Christianity is true. And unless you're intentionally rejecting this proof, we can know that the one true God is behind Christianity, Jesus, and the Bible. So if you've been wrestling with doubts or questions, I encourage you to dig deeper because truth is worth finding. He is worth finding. And this is why in the description, I share with you plenty of resources to go further into the abundance of evidence we have for Christianity. This ministry is viewer funded, so if you'd like to support it, please consider donating.